Hey y'all, Jonathan McGarry here with Pleasant Hill, and this is another edition of What I Have Noticed. We have certainly been through some things in this year of 2020. Tornadoes, earthquakes, wildfires, political unrest, civil unrest, COVID-19, and the latest humdinger of a news event, giant murder hornets have now invaded North America. There is real trouble and hardship. People are sick and dying. The economy is in trouble and jobs have been lost. There are people who don't know how they are going to provide and survive another day. And do you know what I've noticed? God is trying to get our attention and wants to change our perspective. God has given us the gift of time. Time with our families, time to rest, time to reflect on what is really important. And God has given us opportunity, the opportunity to see what God will do to act, to deliver, and to rescue us in our time of need. And God has given us grace. God has demonstrated strength up until now to survive and persevere. And He is not about to give up on you or me at this point. But there are some of us, and even most of us, at one time or another, that are missing what God is doing. And we need to allow Him to shift our focus and our gaze and adjust the scope of our perspective. Many times we miss what God is doing. Either we don't believe in Him, or we don't believe He is good, or we are too busy to see just how good He really is. I want to share a story that I heard about Psalm 34. There was once a little simple country church with simple country people. And one day a man who was a well-known professor at the college in the nearby city came into their church. Now this professor was well known to be an aggressive, anti-church, anti-Christian, and anti-God individual. The professor walked in during the middle of their service and sat down in the middle of their sanctuary. And while in the middle of this preacher's sermon, the professor stood up and shouted for all to hear, "There is no God. Your faith is fake. The Bible is a lie, and if there is a God, He does not care anything about you. And I dare anyone to stand up and debate me." Well, no one stood up because they knew of this professor's reputation to belittle and embarrass anyone who dared disagree with him. So the professor said, "I'm going to come back in 1 month. And if there is no one willing to debate with me, then I will know that you all are fake." And with that, he stormed off. A month later, the little church was full, as people in the community had heard of what had happened, and they had shown up to see what would take place, and if anyone would dare oppose this professor. The professor walked in angrily and brazenly marched down to the pulpit and up on the stage and began challenging anyone to come up and debate him. For what seemed like a long time, no one moved, until one gnarled old man stood up and began to limp down the aisle toward the stage. The professor began to taunt the man. How dare he think that he could win a debate against the vaunted and pious professor? As the professor hurled insults, the old man never said a word, and he continued to hobble down the aisle, and as he climbed up on the stage, he pulled an orange from his pocket. The professor, enraged by the audacity of this old man to think that he could possibly debate him, became louder and more red-faced by the second as he continued to taunt the old man. The old man remained silent, but began to slowly peel his orange. Despite the constant barrage of angry insults from the professor, the old man finished peeling his orange and then began to slowly eat it section by section. When he had finished, he wiped his sticky hands on his shirt, rubbed them together, and then held his finger up to his lips. The professor, who had by this time been screaming at the man angrily, questioning why the old man would ever think he could offer anything worthwhile, grew silent as the hunched old man began to speak. The old man said, "You've been doing a lot of yelling and screaming and asking angry questions. But let me ask you a question. The orange that I ate, was it sweet or was it bitter?" The now red-faced professor scoffed and huffed and puffed, and he said, "How do I know if it was bitter? How could I know? I did not taste the orange." "Ah," the old man said, "that is why you do not believe in God. you have never tasted of his goodness. Psalm 34:8 says, "Oh, taste and see the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusts in him." Have you taken the time, the opportunity to taste of God's goodness? God loves you and sent his son to die on a cross in our place to pay our debt, to prove just how much he loves us. He demonstrates this many times in many ways every day. Won't you take the time to allow God the opportunity to open up your eyes to his goodness, to allow him to change your perspective on all that he is doing for you so that you can taste and see? I pray that you will see and notice what I have noticed. I pray that you'll experience his blessings as you do. Until the next time, I hope that you'll remember I love you. More importantly, God loves you. Turn your eyes upon him.